Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hey everyone, welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 304 for May 16th, 2019. I'm Winnie Kelly Lynn.
Very, very slick. And I'm Ethan Show.
I'm Trevor.
Furlot.
Purpose. I'm Trevor Furlot.
Yes, the Furlot Day.
And
hi, everybody. Matthew's not here tonight. What are we saying he's doing?
Who cares?
It's spring, and it's warm, and he's flying a plane.
Chances are, like, you should have seen him. I last week, I forgot to mention this. He wasn't on. We shot a match together in Woodstock. It was the first outdoor match of the Ipswich, New Brunswick season, and Matthew came. He was miserable, man. Like, he was just unhappy. Two things. One, he was feeling under the weather, and two, he was constantly looking up, going, "Wow,
I could be flying.
Not a cloud in the sky. Not a drop of wind."
Feel that?
Huh.
That's 0 kilometers an hour right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Why don't we talk about what we did in guns this week? Let's get going. You guys good?
You're the host.
Okay. What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. It's Canada's premier firearms retailer. They have the Mako strip blowers for $219. $219, that's not bad.
That's not bad for DeMaco strip blower. So for the listeners who may or may not be aware, DeMaco is a Canadian company, family-owned company. They're linked with Colt. They make amazing barrels. And these are Canadian AR lowers, the same ones that, would these be?
Canada.
They are Colt Canada. Okay.
DeMaco is Colt Canada.
DeMaco is Colt Canada. So these would be the same one. Well, if you get this lower, your rifle is no longer an assault rifle. It's a patrol carbine.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's the one the Mounties use.
It's a peacekeeper rifle because that's primarily what Canadians are doing with their rifles.
Keep the peace, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're also very good. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor, what did you do in guns this week?
I went to the range twice with Snuffy. Once decided in my Savage A17 because gopher season or groundhog season is upon me. I haven't had a chance to get a shot on one yet, but I have seen one actually, believe it or not, on the way to the range. Typically they're in fields around here, but anyway, I zeroed that rifle in with the A17 ammo at 100 meters and shot some really nice groups. I don't know, maybe I was expecting a bit nicer with the the Boyd stock.
Okay. So what do you mean by nice groups? What
this is the semi-auto 17 HMR, right?
That's correct.
It's not going to be as good as your BVTS.
No, I guess not. But I've seen videos. One video in particular, a guy who had one, he put it in the plastic stock and it immediately got better. He took it out of the plastic stock, put it in the Boyds, immediately got better. And every once in a while, he'd get a flyer. So he bedded it and sucked those flyers in. I was also getting flyers, but I tell you, one of the issues with that rifle is the Accu trigger, that little Glock style safety thing.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be addressed. Somebody told me you take a small nylon zip tie wrap, and you depress it, put the tie wrap through the back, and you get that out of the equation. It really messes with it with your trigger press. And I think every time I had a flyer, it had something to do with that messed up trigger. So I'm going to give that a go. So they were mostly MOA and sometimes a flyer. I don't know. I guess I was hoping for a bit better in MOA. But I was getting MOA just a little over MOA. There was a couple of, like, I'd have like 3 touching, and then one would go like a half inch away. And then every once in a while, I'd really have one, I'd lose one like 2 inches away. But I'm pretty sure that was the trigger. So I'm looking forward to holding that trigger safety thing back and going out and trying again. The other time that Snuffy and I were at the range was to test fire my AR-10. I finally got my Stag 10 to the range, and my M305. So my M305, when I first got it, I sent it to my gunsmith in Fredericton who built my Garand, and he did a whole pile of work to it. He did a trigger job. He did some accurizing stuff to like the national match spec. He cleaned up the op rod system, straightened everything. He also unitized the gas system, got rid of that Norinco front sight, put a Springfield front sight and muzzle brake on it. And it was awesome. And then I went to Filthy's one day, and Filthy had an actual Springfield M1 or M14 stock laying on my bed in the guest room when I arrived. And this is like the real deal. It's got the cutout for the selector and stuff. It's roached, it's beat up, it looks like it's been to war. You can see the cartouche on it. It's awesome. Put the rifle in it, and the accuracy dropped off. Then you can't remember last week, Mike from Bloke on the Range was talking about stocking up and how important it is to make sure that the firearm fits into the stock. I brought it to Chris, and Chris is like, well, here's your problem. You get some binding here and some contact here. So Chris relieved what needed to be relieved and built up what needed to be built up and stocked it up. So it's shooting between 3 and 4 inches iron sights at 100 with Norinco steel case ammo. And I really don't think I can expect much better unless I start hand loading for it, which it's not really worth doing. It will feed steel case ammo reliably. It'll shoot 3 to 4 inches with iron sights.
Was it shooting better before?
No.
No.
Before in the plastic stock?
Yes.
Well, I don't know, Adriel. To be perfectly fair, I never really printed any groups with it of note. So, and I say 3 to 4 inches. I should have taken some pictures. Closer to 3 than 4. How's that? But I'm trying to not, blow sunshine up your butts here and tell you I've got the most accurate M14 or M305 on the planet. I'm sure the standard of accuracy for those things wasn't, much more than that. It's still a Chinese milsurp with iron sights. So, also the target I used was not really conducive. It's definitely a target made for a scope. I didn't have one of those square targets with the 1 inch MOA cubes, Yeah, I didn't, it was like
hold under at 6 o'clock. Like
I didn't do that. Basically the circles, it's a sheet of paper, a rectangular sheet of paper with 6 scoring faces on it. And basically I'm shooting at the center of that piece of paper and trying to hold in the same spot every time, see what kind of group I print. So, and then the AR-10. So I didn't have any good quality ammo available. John did have some X-Metal 308, which was fantastic in it. But all I brought with me was the steel case stuff. And I was kind of, I know I've got a match grade barrel on the rifle, right? So what am I doing feeding steel case ammo into it? Well, it's what I had. And I just wanted to sight it in roughly with that. Scope was way off. I got it on paper, and I tried some of my bolt action ammo through it, and 45.5 grains of Varget was way too hot for a gas gun without an adjustable gas block. It did not like that, did not shoot very well with it. It shot fairly good.
Accuracy poor, or did you?
Oh yeah,
no. Brass?
It was all kinds of. It messed up the brass. The accuracy was ridiculous, like 6 inches. The steel case stuff, it probably shot about 2 inches, and the X-Metal stuff probably 1.5 inches. So that was 150 grain. When I start rolling up some 168 grain ammo for it, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I also, this story is sad, man. I picked up my 308 Garand. Okay. So for those who remember, the 308 Garand started off when Denis and I went to visit Ginger Snaps and his buddy Don, and it was late at night. We were drinking, and I said, Don, you know what we should do? We should build me a Garand. And Don's like, okay, let's build you a Garand, because Don doesn't drink, so that's how he speaks. And so we built a Garand in 308 because I didn't have one in 308. So when you build a Garand in 308, some of the parts are specific. Springfield 308 barrels are shorter than 30-06 Garand barrels. So the stock is shorter. The upper handguard, so the listeners who aren't watching right now cannot tell that I am pointing at a gap between the receiver and the upper handguard. The reason there's a gap there and a gap here. This is quite big.
Oh, no.
You guys figure out what's going on yet?
Hmm.
So let's backtrack a little bit. When Don and I built this rifle, we put on a Springfield 308 barrel. It failed the no-go gauge test.
Yeah.
So we took it to Denise and we were going to try and get it straightened out and stuff, and it didn't work. So we kind of gave up on that. And the guy who built my 30-06 Garand tipped me off. He said, I don't remember the retailer, some Canadian retailer, Aztec Armory,
Tradex.
maybe? No, Tradex had Criterion
Yep.
308 barrels.
It might have been Aztec then.
Aztec had the Citadel 308 barrel. So I ordered one up. I didn't read the fine print. You know how we talked about managing stupid and people not reading? The fine print said made to the USGI spec. So it was a 308 barrel in 30-06 length. So I got a 308 barrel on my, I got a 308 barrel on my 308 Garand. All the other parts are 308 except for the barrel. Well, the barrel is a 308 barrel, but they built it to 30-06 length. And the reason why they did that is because a 308 Garand has a, I don't know if you can see this, but on the side of the operating rod right there, it says 7.62 by 51 millimeter. So by making your 308 barrel 30-06 length, you can just use all 30-06 parts and shoot
Makes it
308.
easy.
Yeah, there's millions of 30-06 op rods. There's millions of 30-06 stocks out there, right? So I've got a M1 Garand in 308 with a 308 stock with a huge gap between the forend and the stock, and then the handguard between the handguard and the receiver is another huge gap. So anyway, Don being Don, it's like, don't worry about it. I'll take the 308 stock back, and I'll take the 308 op rod back, and I'll give you a 308 or a 30-06 stock and a 30-06 op rod. Good, right? Problem solved.
Yeah.
Well, I brought the other barrel to Chris, and Chris thinks that he can make it work. So he's trying to get that barrel on another Italian receiver like a Beretta or a Beretta. And if he gets that Springfield barrel to work on an Italian receiver, well, then this handguard will fit, this stock will fit, this op rod will fit. So will Trevor end up with 3 Garands, 2 and 308?
Yes.
Tune in next week to find out. Also, M1 Garand stocks at Boyd's are pretty cheap, like less than $150 for the stock and the handguard that is too short that I need to replace.
And
It's
they look
150
fantastic.
US, but still, right? Especially considering, look at this. I had all this Parkerized at Denise. Look how it looks brand new, man. Look how amazing that turned out.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I forgot to put the bolt in the Parkerizing tank, but so what? I also forgot to put the ears for the rear sight, or the adjustment knobs for the rear sight in the Parkerizing tank. So, yeah, Denise, if you're listening, heat up the Parkerizing. I'm coming back over. We got some more parts to do. You know what didn't Parkerize? It's important to do your research, kids. Turns out long branches were blued. What did I do? Parkerize my long branch. Yeah, because I'm a moron. So I'll re-blue that next winter so it looks better, because this is the same Parkerizing solution, literally the same. Like they went in the same tank, same solution within a couple of days of each other. Look how dark that came out. That's amazing, right? But my long branch Enfield looked gray. Yeah, like cancer gray. That's not good. And so I'd like to. So what I was saying was, do your research, read a little bit, or have someone read to you.
Don't skim. In other words,
no, don't skim. Read the whole thing. The gas cylinder, this part right here, the cylinder, and the gas plug, and the bolt that holds the gas cylinder to the barrel. Guess what? Notice how they're not Parkerized? That's because they're made of stainless steel, and you can't Parkerize stainless steel. A little bit of reading, I would have known that. But I guess there's a lot of Garands out there that look like that, because that part wasn't finished the same as the other parts, and the finish came off and whatever, so it's fine. All right. Next, you can leave it on me. After the match, so we got the Garand.
Yeah.
And then we went to a match. We shot a match at the Thomaston Corner Range. That's the Ipswich, New Brunswick Treasurers Range, Larry Shriver. So it was a black badge match. Awesome match. 6 stages. The match in Woodstock was amazing too. It was 13 stages. That was a lot of stages for the first match of the year. And a lot of people think it's a lot of stages for Black Badgers. Their first match, 13 stages, but whatever. They pulled it off. So the match was great. I finished second again overall. And we know overall is the only thing that matters, right? So I finished first.
At the Woodstock or at the one that Larry?
Both, Kelly. Second in Woodstock behind Jeremy Kane.
Okay.
And second to Larry.
Oh, really?
Larry lent me his Shadow last year,
Mhm.
and I beat him with his own gun by 20%. I take out my gun, the Superior 1911, way better gun than the Shadow 2. Convince me I'm wrong. And yeah, man, he got me.
He got you?
Yeah. So I won Classic, he won Production, but he took first overall with like 97%. So I'm having it investigated. I've contested it all the way to our IPSC
He's probably just a better shooter.
It's possible. It's possible. or he took enough ibuprofen that day that his hip wasn't sore.
That would help too, yeah.
God, I hope he listens. Anyway, so after the match, we were really handy to the gun dealer. The gun dealer is one of the largest firearms retailers outside of Ontario. It's big. They've got a lot of guns in stock, a lot of everything. And the owner there, Ross, he's a longtime supporter of Rescue Gun Club. Him and his son, when I go in, they're like, "Hey, Trevor, what's going on?" And I hardly ever go in there, but they know me by name and stuff, and they treat me really well. That's where I got the Long Branch, right? I traded my AR, my NEA AR, for that Long Branch. He wanted $650 for the Long Branch, right? I'm like, "Hey, Ross, look what I did with this Long Branch." And I show him all the refinishing work and how we plug the holes and stuff. And I'm like, "You see these two letters here, this M and P? Do you know what that is?" He goes, "No, what's that?" I said, "This was a military or a mounted police issued rifle." He's color in his face to start to. So after I told him how I, basically
screwed him.
It's his gun. He owns the store. Let him price it accordingly. I didn't screw him. I paid him what he wanted.
That's
Actually,
true.
I gave him an AR that was worth more than $650, but I knew that Long Branch was worth more than $650. Anyway, this isn't about either of those things. This is about this new optic. So Filthy and the Stable Boy. Oh, the Stable Boy put a thumping on Filthy.
I heard he beat
every stage. Wasn't even a contest. So Filthy's excuse is going to be, "It was my first match in Production Optics." Trevor sighted in my gun for me before the match and probably didn't do a very good job. And let's not forget the part where the optic came off and hit me in the face. Yeah, that happened.
And it was probably shooting low and left the whole time.
Low and right.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, he's a lefty.
He is a lefty. Yeah. So, yeah, the optic came right off and smoked him in the mouth. It was hilarious. We have it on video, but we have it from the wrong. Well, we have it from the correct side, the right side. But no one expects someone to use a gun with their left hand if the cameraman is on the wrong side. So, anyway, so we all need to feel better about ourselves, right? Except for Mark, because Mark won. But he came along anyway. So we were off to the gun dealer to purchase these. This is a Vortex Crossfire red dot, and he gave us a smoking deal, and it's thanks to Stable Boy, because he was kind of on the fence about buying one. So I said to Ross, I said, "If we buy 3, what kind of deal are you going to cut us?" So he gave us, if we bought 3, he gave us 10% off. So if Mark had not stepped up and purchased the third one, Filthy and I would have had to pay full retail.
I like the riser on it. It's skeletonized. It's light.
Yep. And I had, I didn't have a riser on my Typhoon when I had this on the Typhoon. This is the Spark 2.
Yeah.
But I put the riser on for the PCC, and I left it on when I put it back on the Typhoon, because it's a little high if I'm not wearing ears, but if I'm wearing ears, they gotta get pushed up and stuff a little bit. So whatever.
Yeah.
I left it on. And they didn't all have the same MOA dot. They come in different sizes, apparently. I didn't think that was a thing. So this one may have like a 3, and Filthy's got a 6 or something. It's quite small. So while I was at the range with Snuffy, first thing I did was sight this in at 25 meters. That's where I run my PCC 0.
I like your chamber flag, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So,
You're welcome.
for the listeners, my PCC chamber flag says PCC is not a crime. If you follow any of the Facebook groups or even Instagram, PCC is the most made fun of division to ever hit the sport. Like, it's picked on more than Revolver. People have forgot about how much Revolver sucks now that PCC is out.
Yeah,
it's I get teased on the daily by the IPSC guys from Nova Scotia about PCC. It's the short bus division. It's the this. It's the that. It's all kinds of stuff. So yeah. So
just jelly. That's all.
Yeah. So Stephen Casey and the boys from Nova Scotia were in I forget which state. They were at one of the area matches, Area 7 maybe, and he bought 2 of those, one for me and one for him. So big shout out to him. I thought that was awesome. So yeah. There was something else, but it has slipped my mind. And I'm still designing stages for SummerSlam. I'm not quite done. I've got 12 out of 18 done, and then I designed the stages for next weekend's Black Badge match, which I won't even be at. Here I am designing stages and doing the administration and practice score and registration for a match I won't be at, but that's okay. The reason I won't be there is because I will be at the
RSO course.
Yeah, the CCFR pilot RSO course. So it'll be the first RSO course in CCFR history. The primary function of this course is to certify myself and 2 other individuals as master learning facilitators. These are the people who will go out and teach people to teach the course. And of course, we've got a couple of field officers and a few other people attending the class to actually be the first group of CCFR RSOs. I've also been coordinating with the CCFR head office, the headquarters in Ontario, to figure out the logistics of administering the course, recording a database, right? Who was trained, where, when, by who, etc. We're going to be mailing out from the office a certificate and a new patch. So there's a CCFR patch right now that looks like this. Just flip over here.
I don't know where mine is.
This is the current CCFR patch for the field officers.
Mm-hmm.
So on the bottom, instead of saying field officer, it'll either say range safety officer or simply RSO, depending on if there's enough room down there. Because we're not going to create a whole new patch. We're just going to relabel this patch, right?
Yep.
So so that's next weekend. This weekend, though, I've got a private class with Alex Burdett. Alex is the ex-Mental Pro staff guy, and he is also the current Canadian production champion, and he has taken many classes with Ben Steger. He podcasts with Ben Steger, actually, quite often. I think he's a regular on the show over there. So this will be his second time coming to Rescue to do a class with us. So this time, we did a class last year, 2-day class, but it was full. It was like 10, 12 people. So it was still awesome, but you don't get quite as much one-on-one time as you would like. So this time there's only 6 of us taking the class. So the class is the same price. How much do you want to pay for a private class, right? So our tuition is like doubled from last year, but whatever, totally worth it. So to get ready for that, I was loading up. We need like 800 rounds of ammo. So I finally got to break into my Black Sheep Brass 9mm. I tried a couple just to see, right? But I also have 500 223 to load as soon as my powder arrives. The Black Sheep Brass is awesome because it's super clean and it's already been resized. You buy brass from people, it's not resized. It has got a primer in it and stuff. This has got the primer knocked out. It's already resized, so it goes through the press like butter, and the quality control is great. I've not come across one that has any kind of issue whatsoever. I'm so confident in this brass that I'm just loading it and putting it right in the bullet trays, making sure that the primers are good. If they're not, that's on me. It's got nothing to do with the brass. Either I didn't see it correctly or whatnot. I actually found one didn't have a primer tonight. And taking that to the match with me on the weekend. And
brass prep sucks, and having someone else do the tumbling and the resizing and the dealing with the primers and stuff. And just like, if all you had to do is take prepped brass and make ammo, it's super fast,
super clean. The contamination that you get during the reloading process most of the time has to do with cleaning the brass, because that's where all the contaminants are. They're in the brass. Yeah, you got the bullet. The projectile is lead, but if you're wearing rubber gloves and you wash up when you're done, that's super easy to manage. It's
Well, if your
cleaning
projectile is polymer coated or TMJ or FMJ, then that's pretty. It can get dirty if you're using like a pure a lead bullet with that Lee Alox or something like that. That's
liquid Alox is garbage.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, smoky. Jeez, but
And
still,
gets on
regardless,
everything.
that's still a lead product. You should always wear gloves, whether it's a full metal jacket, bullet, polymer, whatever. You should still wear gloves. The real dirty stuff is the brass. The brass from Black Sheep is affordable. It's good quality, and it's going to save you time and your health. It's just healthier to use brass that somebody else. I like the guy, but let's let him deal with the contaminants, shall we? We'll just reload with the clean stuff. You know, Adriel, how you're of the opinion like 9mm is so cheap it's not worth reloading, right? Well, I'm not there. I'm a gamer. I've got a tailor. I've got my load tailored to my IPSC pistol and stuff. But I don't pick up my brass. All right. Mm-hmm. And now I won't have to. I will just keep buying the Black Sheep stuff and just leave it there. So let the hobos pick it. That's what I say.
You got this thing about hobos and homos tonight.
Hobos and homos? Is that what you said? Because I didn't say that. Oh, hobos. Well, you ever seen a hobo with a home? Of course he's homeless. That's why he's a hobo. He's got a pack on a stick, riding the rails, looking for that dog. Come on. And picking brass, apparently.
Picking brass.
Yeah. Adriel, how about you? What have you been up to?
Before we get too far, did you shoot with a ginger at your last match?
Well,
did the ginger beat you on one of the stages?
What?
A new black badge person?
What?
This dude is gonna be a thing. All right. He didn't say. I don't think the man can speak. I'm pretty sure he's a mute. Right. So I'm there and I'm being me. Right. I can't stop. I got the ADD and I got the big mouth and stuff. And I'm always trying. Emphasis on trying to be funny. And when we're going through the squad rotation or whatnot on the tablet, I don't even know how I called him Ginger, but anyway, I just saw the corner of my eye a flash of red beard, and I called him a Ginger, and I don't know if I pissed him off or what, because he didn't say nothing to me for the rest of the day, like not a word. Like, oh, so he doesn't know me, and he doesn't know I think I'm funny, and maybe I insulted him by calling him a Ginger because he ain't said nothing, right? So anyway, I saw the potential in every stage where he was like, oh, dude, if you had just done this, you would have like totally cleaned it. Oh, you did clean that one. All right. So anyway, so I watched him run this one stage, and I had done good, but I had a mic and I had a makeup shot, and then I unloaded, showed cleared, and I was still kind of on the ground, not ready to get up yet. No mag in the gun, still got around the chamber. And I look at the target, it's got a hole in it. I'd literally just point shoot it from the hip almost. Oh, son of a! And I shoot it, and I actually hit the target. Anyway, so I thought I was all of that and a bag of chips on the first stage. I did really good and stuff. And then on the second stage, I did that. And I watched how he shot it. And I thought to myself, you know, he did it really, really good. And he could have done it even better if he had just done this thing. And then I looked at the tablet and he beat me. So when he come over, I was like, you know what, man? I was going to offer you some advice on how to shoot that stage. But since you beat me on it,
nah.
Nope, you're on your own. You're on your own. So yeah. So I'm gonna have to come up with a new nickname for him because we already have a Ginger Snaps in IPSC. So cool. But yeah, dude, I don't know if that was his first match. We're all effed because yeah, he come on pretty strong. It was awesome.
Cool. Let's see. I shot a 3-gun match. We had our 3-gun match on Saturday. Yep. You're ready. You're ready for this, Trevor. Yeah, I can tell. Ready.
No, I got it. I got it on my system already. I got a few likes. I
it'd make for an interesting conversation. Did you guys listen to the 3-gun podcast? Kind of didn't have the conversation about consistency as much, but they had like a USPSA versus 3-gun conversation here just recently, and it was super interesting. Super interesting hearing the different viewpoints of what it was. But if you let me get through my 3-gun match first, and then we can argue about it afterwards, that'd be fun.
Perfect. Give her. I'll let you know. I will. I'm standing by to tell you you're wrong. You just let me know when.
Hold your finger over top the go button. Get ready. Get ready. I'll know when your face gets red on the camera that it's time.
If I just fall over, call 911. I've had a stroke.
Yeah, so I shot the 3-gun match. I did pretty good. I got second overall. That's a thing, right? Overall.
Overall.
Yeah.
Division, who cares?
Your
right?
sport's made
It's
up.
overall.
You can count overall if you want. There are no rules
There are no rules.
in your outlaw lifestyle.
Outlaw lifestyle.
Apparently, I
outlaw
don't
life.
embrace the outlaw lifestyle.
No, you're not living the outlaw life.
Nope.
I got second in TAC Ops, but TAC Ops turned out to be the most competitive division at this match.
Yeah.
Question.
Yep.
Where does the division title TAC Ops come from? Which rule set?
Used to be at 3-Gun Nation, I think.
Okay.
I know 3-Gun Nation changed their divisions recently here, so now they have Unlimited, Practical, Factory. I think is one of the ones. I don't know. I didn't follow it.
Like a teenager trying to find its way in the world. That's what your game is.
I haven't even finished.
Are you gonna let him?
TAC Ops, anyways, which is a scope on the rifle, and I was in that division because ATRS had loaned me one of their modern sporters, and they're like, "Hey, can you shoot a 3-gun match with this?" I was like,
Can I ever?
You went, sure.
You've seen the videos. You know what I'm going to do with this rifle, right? I am going to dump it in a dump sled. I'm going to scratch it against. No, I didn't do anything that bad, but it actually.
I'm going to win with it. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to win with it, or at least get second in TAC Ops and second overall. It was a good match. It was the weather was fantastic. Like for a May match, it snows sometimes in May in Alberta. So, or no, wait, we're in April. It snows sometimes in April in Alberta. Are we in April or May?
Wow, dude.
May.
It was May.
May.
We are
May.
May. Today's
First
May
week of May.
16th.
Still May.
That being
Yeah.
said, we had snow in New Brunswick this week as well.
Yep.
No snow here. We're good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was like 20, 22 degrees. Beautiful outside. Not too much wind. Really nice day. Our stages were all really well balanced. We ran through it really smoothly. You hold your tongue. You hang on for a bit. We'll get to it. There you go. Yeah, mute your mic. Let's see here. Things that I need to do, but things I did well at long range shooting. I shot from 150 to 350, and I hit every single target with one shot each.
Nice.
So out to 350.
How was
It was
the
all
wind?
good.
How was the wind?
Windy.
Not a factor. Not a factor at.
Where were you
350
shooting
with a
at?
level 223. What's
Where
that?
were you shooting it at? Out at Chas?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, you guys
Well, with a
don't.
223. So who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of wind out there, anyways.
Not really, and it would have to get pretty windy to throw a 223 off at 350.
Yeah.
You need a lot of wind before that becomes a factor. But
Mm.
yeah, that was all good. I would say that my pistol shooting was good enough. Good enough on a lot of stuff. I recorded the whole video, voiced it over, dumped it up on YouTube with like my critiques of myself. And actually, I saw someone else had some additional stuff that I hadn't seen that I just saw a little bit earlier today. Then I'm going to go through some helpful pointers for myself. Like personally, I'm always looking to improve my game. So when I put my video up, it isn't like, look, check out how awesome I am. It's this is how I did, and everything can be improved. So I'm always game for seeing better ways to shoot better. Some of the things I noticed about my run. One of them is I'm shooting too straight up,
Right?
straight up, legs locked. It's like, and when I'm shooting, I don't see it, I don't feel it, but when I look at the video later, I can see, yeah, I'm shooting standing straight up, and that's why I'm losing like fractions of a second moving between positions because you have to drop down to move anyways. So that has to get better. Shooting my rifle could be a lot faster. Trevor?
Your video that you uploaded with the commentary over top.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
And I'm not the best person for analyzing my shooting, but I can analyze my shooting at least. At least I can record where my thoughts were day of, right? After I look at the video, I could do my own analysis. Someone else posted some of their thoughts on top, and it's like, oh, cool. Someone else's opinion on it, right? And I'm not going to take offense at any kind of critique of that, right?
No, and that's what I thought this would spur. Okay, this is what you think about it. Well, from my perspective, Adriel, this is actually what I think. Your comments, I hope, are getting littered with some feedback and stuff.
Oh, maybe we can do more of that, because I think that's more interesting to me. I'm not interested in just looking at it and being like, you know what, I just have to shoot faster. I'm interested in, I think I need to do this with my position. Someone else can say like, no, actually that's all right, or that I think this is a bigger issue. So I need to shoot from a lower stance. I need to bend my knees a little bit more, and that will help with recoil mitigation a little bit. Like, I'm a big guy, the pistol's not pushing me around, but moving faster is something that I can definitely improve on, moving from position to position, shooting faster when I get into the positions. Shooting my rifle and controlling my recoil better is something that I really need to focus on. I'm using a U-shaped cup on the bottom of the rifle, and I really should C-clamp that thing to drive the rifle a little bit faster. Yeah.
One of the things that we worked on last time with Alex, and that we will work on again this time, is arriving ready to shoot. So how you enter the position with your footwork, not just charging in and stopping like a hippo like I do. That's literally like I arrive like a hippo, and everyone can benefit from improving that. Like, if you take a second and a half to get that first shot off when you get into position, right?
Yeah, for me, I think I could probably shave like a half second off of each transition. Every time I move to a new position, there's a half second sitting on the table for me to grab, and it's easy time to pick off. And then the last one is a little bit more mental game. Visualizing my stage runs better. I did a really good job of it on the first stage of the day. We actually had a couple of new shooters come out. One of them was a Slamfire listener, Alex. And they're coming out for their first match, and we're like, some of the guys were like doing their walkthroughs, and they were just standing back. I'm like, guys, you gotta visualize the stage like this. And then I went and I showed like I'm air gunning the stage kind of thing, and then I shot it and I did pretty good. But then I didn't do it on the other stages, and I didn't put it together in match day. Only afterwards it was like, you know what? I'm hunting at this time. I'm hunting for a target. I shouldn't be doing that. I should know where the targets are. Why am I even thinking about this, right? So it was visualization on my other stage runs that I could have made up some time, and not. You can see it on the video, right? When you're shooting and then you pick your head up and you're like, oh, yeah, there's that other target right there. There goes a quarter or a half second that you didn't need to do had you have air gunned it a little bit more thoroughly, right? So a couple of things I need to improve on my stage runs. And then the last one is my shotgun reloading was just trash. Usually my shotgun reloading is a lot smoother, but I ended up yard sailing shot shells on the ground on on practically every time I use my shotgun. I was air missing some shells, or throwing them on the ground, or just not. They weren't collecting out of the shell caddy very well. Now I've broke my one main shell caddy. I actually broke at last month's match, so I've cracked the lips off of it, and I'm grabbing from a little bit further back, and I'm not grabbing them very well, and so there's some issue there. So I bought some new Tacom. They're magnetic shell carriers. They've got magnets on the top and clips on the bottom, and they come out a little bit easier. So I'm hoping that that's going to sort out in my hand a little bit better. So, Trevor, if you got some time, do you want to talk about running in a shooting sport?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
The thing that was so you didn't like that there was a rundown. And this, I posted a bit on Instagram, and I'll describe it for the listeners who maybe aren't on Instagram or whatever. But if you are on Instagram, just go check it out. There was a spot in a stage where after shooting your rifle, you had to run about 70 or 80 meters to a rooftop and then engage 5 targets from 150 to 350.
So that turns the match into that stage. We're all supposed to shoot fairly equally, right? But that turns that stage into a running contest. If the goal is to elevate one's heart rate so that you can control your breathing, control your heart rate before shooting, or practice getting your heart rate, your breathing under control before shooting. That's important. I get that. I agree. Knowing how to shoot with an elevated heart rate and an elevated rate of respiration is a skill. That's important. You do not need to run 80 meters to achieve an elevated heart rate. And when you extend it out to that distance, it's ridiculous, and it becomes about running, not about shooting.
A little bit about running. A little bit.
80 meters?
Not enough to make a real difference on the stage, I believe. Because I'm not the fastest runner.
No.
I'm not the fastest by a long shot. I actually jogged that section because the ground is uneven.
When time is such an important part of the score in practical shooting sports, regardless of what discipline it is or what sport it is, when time is so important and you make a component of the stage that weighted on time, it is not balanced and it negatively affects the stage. It would be like if I had a stage in IPSC. Balance is balance. You can't have too much of any one thing.
Not balance, because in some disciplines, the running.
Let me give you an analogy. If I had an IPSC stage that had targets out at 40 meters, okay, I could destroy the stage by putting too many targets at that distance, because someone could zero the entire stage on that array. Yes, put targets at that distance, but don't put enough to cause someone to completely zero the stage if they miss that array of targets. Okay.
Well, that would zero them according to how the rules in IPSC are set out right now. Yes.
Okay, but again, let's not get caught up on one particular game's rule set. Let's look at trying to balance out a stage. If you put
what I'm saying is, like, the balance is directly tied to the scoring and the rules of the game.
Right. So you put too many points in one location, bad. You make a stage require so much running that it becomes about the running and not the shooting, bad. You could have accomplished the same thing in that stage with a 30-meter run. So tell me this. What was the goal of that 80 to 100 meter, whatever it was, rundown? What purpose did it serve? How did it add to the stage and or match?
Well, elevated your heart rate for an extended period of time. While you were shooting those 5 targets, there was no way after running 80 meters that you'd be able to slow things down to make like a nice, slow, calm shot. You were under duress the entire 5 shots. If you ran 30 meters,
it's action shooting. You're never going to have a slow, calm, relaxed shot, right? You should, unless you are walking the entire match.
I don't know. Like there's some, like,
there's always really, a time pressure.
This is a difference between like a purist stage where it'd be a balance between movement and shooting and transitions and very little distance between the two, and something that's more physically demanding. Because if like, this is all on a scale. At the far end of the scale would be run and gun. Grab your AR, sling it up, and now you're going to go for a half marathon, and you're going to shoot stages along the way.
Every stage in that match is that way.
Correct, and that is a high physicality match. Everyone knows that when you sign up for a run and gun, you're going to get a high physicality match.
And guess what? That match isn't just about shooting; it's about your physical fitness as well. That's being tested the whole time.
Correct.
Right.
On that far end of the scale, a running gun is high level of physicality. Yep. Some shooting ability, because you can really hurt your time by not shooting well. But primarily, like, you can't show up as a fat slob and with the wrong gear, you're going to get smoked, right?
Yep. So this stage, you said that the goal of the 80-meter rundown was to elevate the heart rate.
Correct. For the entire 5 shots.
The match director, 5 shots is not a long time, Adriel. Listen. Watch this.
How often do you shoot your AR at 350 meters?
I even lost track of how many claps. Like, it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time to shoot 5 shots. So 5 shots, let's call it call it 10 seconds, 2 seconds per shot because they're at a long distance. Okay. So
I think if you shot 10 shots at that distance in 10 seconds, you would be in the upper.
You said 5 shots.
Yeah, sorry, 5 shots. So if you shot 5 shots in 10 seconds, you would be in the upper like 10% of shooters at those distances.
Yeah. So it was 80 meters worth of running for 5 shots. It doesn't balance. You could get, if all you wanted was an elevated heart rate for 5 shots, 30 meters would have did it, and you still would have had elevated heart rates, and it wouldn't have been the fastest runner to win the stage.
It wasn't the fastest runner to win the stage. I don't even think running speed came into it. Like I'm going to say, I'm not the fastest runner. I actually jogged it. I did not run full flat out. I won that stage easily. By just having accurate long range shots.
Right. So did the timer start and then you took off running? Beep and you took off running?
Let's see. Well, for the full stage, yeah. Beep. I took off running to the left. I did some pistol work. I ran back. I dropped my pistol. I grabbed my rifle. I ran about 20 meters. I did some shooting with the rifle, and then I ran that 80 and then finished my shots off there. It was 65 seconds, a lot of it running, but not running at like a full tilt. Again, I'm not a sprinter. I can't sprint.
All right. So what I'm trying to be convinced of is that in order to shoot 5 rounds with an elevated heart rate, 80 meters was required. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Stuck on the 80 meters part. He just thinks that same
but
thing.
I mean, like
you have to run
service
30.
rifle does 100-meter rundowns, and
Right.
they do a
Different
few of
game.
them.
Different game.
Correct.
Yeah, different game.
Three gun is not IPSC though either.
I don't know why you keep bringing it back to IPSC when I don't.
Because
We're
you're
talking
trying to apply
no
a balance that IPSC has like very well defined that 3-gun doesn't have well defined.
Well, again, okay, so right, just calling it 3-gun is a problem, right? That's like saying when you say 3-gun, I might as well say action shooting.
Correct.
Right? Which 3-gun are we talking about? Right? 3-gun.
Oh, good Lord. I'm going to go make a sandwich. This might take a while.
Yeah, this is...
Well,
while you're at it, make us one too.
Yeah, because because like 3-gun is not really well defined, and most of the matches are outlaw, and the outlaw matches have, I would say, the biggest variability would be on the physicality required, because there's some that are closer to an IPSC match. They're very short, punchy stages, high hit factor if you want to go for that, and there's some others that have a little bit more physicality, some that have a lot more physicality, and then there are some that are like mil sim kind of things, right? Where those guys might pack around all their ammo. They might go Iron Man, and you have to carry all your ammo and your guns the whole day, and your water, and that is a style of 3-gun shooting, right?
Yes, that's right. So I am still having a hard time with the rationale for the 80 meters was so that you could shoot only 5 rounds with an elevated heart rate and not have it affect the outcome of the stage by the fact that it was 80 meters instead of 30 meters. Because 30 meters is a number that I'm picking somewhat arbitrarily, but I think it's a number that is a fair distance to make everybody run, and some people will still suck wind hard on 30 meters. Some people will run 30 meters no problem, but you're going to have a pretty elevated, even if it was 50 meters. But yeah, it was running for the sake of running. And the reason why I say it was running for the sake of running is because you could have the shooter's heart rate elevated for all 5 of those rounds with less distance.
If you made all your hits.
If you made all your... Well, that doesn't matter how far you run. That's a different challenge. You're shooting from an elevated platform at distance. We're not even talking about that. That's completely appropriate. That's the shooting skill. That's you having your gear set up and know where your rounds are going to impact at that distance. That's a different animal altogether. But you ran 80 meters to shoot 5 bullets.
Mhm.
and you're telling me it was 80 meters so that you could shoot 5 bullets with an elevated heart rate, and I'm saying you could shoot 5 bullets with an elevated heart rate and not have to run 80 meters, and then the physical component wouldn't have outweighed. I believe it outweighed the shooting component of that stage, and I believe our matches are supposed to be about shooting skill, not who runs the fastest. How could you not have an advantage by running that 80 meters faster than everyone else when time is such a huge
So what I'm saying, I recognize what you're talking about. You're
Mhm.
saying if running speed is what you're practicing, then the fastest runners would get a huge advantage on this. And what I'm saying is I agree with that. And I generally agree with we shouldn't have running for just the sake of running.
Right. Which
I
this
agree with that as well. Which, in your opinion of what you think in terms of balance it was, because in your opinion, 30 meters is enough to be gassed while you make all those shots.
And you disagree?
Yes, I disagree. I think that having that run down left most people gassed for longer. And given I jogged
much
the thing,
longer, much longer.
And given that I
longer
jogged
than needed,
the whole thing, I still got the best time on that stage, even just jogging it, not running fast.
So where did you make up your time on that stage?
On those long range shots by hitting every single shot I took and not having to take makeup shots. That was a big part of it. There's some other positioning and whatnot, but I didn't make or lose a ton of time by just jogging it rather than going full bore.
Well placed shots is what.
Yeah, you can't miss fast enough to win. Doesn't matter what game it is.
Yeah. It would be interesting to I don't want to do it right now, but look at the video and see how much time it takes to run that distance in a jog versus an all-out run, and to see if it's like, I'd imagine it. What is it going to be? 2 seconds, 3 maybe. It might not make we're arguing about it, but it might not actually make that much of a difference when you actually look at the stage. But I generally agree that the running for the sake of running is not super required. I don't mind having a lot of physicality in a match because that's the style of matches we do is not a strictly pure 3-gun. There is a lot of physicality in them.
Yeah.
And that's a style choice.
When people complain about the physicality in IPSC where they have to go prone or run upstairs or downstairs and stuff, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're not bullseye shooting here, kids. And maybe you can't do it anymore. And how inclusive do we want to be? Like, it's a practical shooting sport, and your score is heavily influenced by how fast you shoot your targets. I mean, my stage, my range is probably the most physically demanding IPSC range there is, with running around inside transport trailers and up and down stairs,
up and down a boat, and all this other kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, but in my view, it's all real world. If I make you run up a flight of stairs, it's not to see how fast you can run up the stairs, although the faster you go, the better. But as soon as you get to the stairs, there's bad guys that need to be ventilated. You don't get
real world up to a point, real world and scenario and that kind of thing. But eventually you have to say, okay, these are the rules, we're sticking to them. And then people game around it and that kind of thing, right? Like IPSC and 3-gun, you don't have to reload from behind cover. You find the spot where you can see the most bad guys, which in real world would get you ventilated.
That'll get you killed on the street.
Yeah. So eventually, yes, it's for practical shooting, and we're going to have some, IPSC has some physicality to it, like you mentioned, climbing upstairs and that kind of thing, and 3-gun does as well. It's a matter of where do you put that? Where on the line of physicality are you going to stick? And
I stick to when it starts to put more of an emphasis on the physical and less on the shooting.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, it's about the fundamentals of marksmanship wrapped up in some physicality, but the physicality can't dominate the shooting, in my opinion.
There has to be a balance that you stick to, and that's the balance that you choose.
Yeah, and I think that balance belongs in all of the disciplines until you get to, like you said, the extreme end of the spectrum, where it's like, all right, everything you can carry, put on you now, go. That's what
you
you're
could
signing
you
up
could
for.
argue that that's more practical.
Absolutely.
Trooper division in 3-gun is more practical than the guys like me who are walking around with the stuff on our belt and immediately after a stage, like, woo, gotta take that stuff off. Oh, I'm not carrying that around all day.
There's
15 pounds on my belt.
There's one of the founding principles of IPSC about how equipment that is not practical won't be used. That was obviously written before race holsters and open guns. Right? There's nothing practical about a lot of the equipment that we use. That's why IDPA was created, because IPSC turned into a game. It is a game.
And now IDPA is a game.
Yeah, well,
different kind of game.
Yeah, well, they're all games.
Yeah,
but IDPA would like to think it's the purest and most practical, but still a game. Only you're wearing a fishing vest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, cool. All right,
anyways,
man. We beat that to death.
Enough. Yeah. We'll argue about that more later.
If you insist.
I do. It's fun.
I can continue to tell you why you're wrong later. Hippo, hobo, homeless. Kelly, you're mean.
What are you saying here? You gotta bring our listeners in on it.
Oh, it's just some of the Facebook comments. This episode brought to you by the letter H for hippo, hobo, and homeless.
Yeah.
And the number 1.
And the number 1. Brad is also adding to that. Thank you, Brad, for playing along from home. Are you all done? Are you done arguing about 3-gun and which is
we'll
better?
Argue more later.
Okay,
we'll argue more later.
Time to move on, Kelly.
Okay, so what did I do in guns this week?
Holy geez, we're still in this segment? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you better go quick, Kelly. We used all your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. 2020 is coming up soon, so the CCFR calendar, we are planning that. Stay tuned for that. Watch the CCFR Facebook pages, and we'll be posting on there soon about we're just trying to arrange some things prior to releasing the model call out. And I just wanted to let you know that I expect you guys, you being Trevor and Adriel and Matthew, anybody that's watching or listening as well, to order that calendar. We are even increasing the numbers. We sold out in a matter of... What?
If I've never ordered one, why are you expecting me to do it now?
Oh, yeah, that's true. You know what? I should not be buying you those for Christmas.
Yeah, right.
You're encouraging wrong behavior.
Yeah. Like you've bought my last 2 calendars.
Yeah.
And I didn't. Nope. I only have nope. The only ones that got put, I don't even know where the other one is. Serious. Yolanda wasn't in it, so I don't know. It's in a drawer somewhere.
You know what? I'm not sending you one anymore if you're not. Yeah.
That's fine. And if she comes back, I'll buy another one.
Okay.
Oh, I'm getting some dirty looks from over there right now. You destroyed it? You used it for cat litter.
What?
That's fine. Yolanda wasn't in it. My Yolanda calendars are here. They're the ones that are autographed, see? To my favorite ginger-loving hobo or something.
Okay. Why don't I finish up what I did this week? Thank you.
Yeah, help me get out of trouble.
SFRC went there Saturday. Even though I was busy with work stuff, I still went to SFRC because I needed a break and I needed to go and see the people from both Marcy and Ryan. I wanted to thank them as well because Kingston City Council, oh my God, you guys are lucky you don't live here. City council meeting on so it was Wednesday. I showed up there. We arranged to have a whole bunch of people come if they could from the CCFR. So Tracy and Colin came down, and Kelly Kincaid was there. She came by on her breaks, but break from work, so she was working, but she wasn't able to stay that long. We had all the gun clubs from the local area, as well as Napanee, that came to the meeting, and SFRC. So Marcy and Ryan were both there, as well as probably, I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3, maybe 4 dozen gunnies. The city council chambers are pretty small. There's probably about 30 seats in there, maybe. I don't know, 20, 30. We filled that, and then there was a room. They told us to get out and go into the other room and watch TV. I got to stay in because I talked, or I I was somebody that, I talked about the impact on shooters in our local area. What we would do is the council meeting. So if you're going to talk about a subject or you represent something, you go and before the meeting starts, you talk about it. And then you have to wait for the motions. And the motions are at the end of the meeting. So we spoke. Tracy spoke first, then I spoke. There was also another gentleman there that was from, I don't know where he's from. Anyways, he spoke, but we had to wait until the very last motion. They extended the meeting. They had to have a special vote about extending the meeting as well because it was midnight when they voted on the motion to ask. The motion was to ask the federal government to strengthen C-71. What they wanted was a handgun ban and assault rifle ban, as well as a semi-automatic rifle ban. That's what Kingston City Council was going to draft up a letter and send it out to the federal government and ask them to make some changes to C-71. So everybody showed up on that. We all descended onto City Hall and we wrote letters. They said it was the most engaged that their constituents have ever been. And because they received emails, and not just one or two, which they normally receive, but they received dozens of them, as well as I said, people showed up. They took the vote. As I said, it was midnight, and it was really close. It was 7-6. And of that, the tie-breaking vote was the mayor of Kingston. And I really, really appreciate everybody that did show up. I also appreciate some of the people who voted according to what their constituents wanted. They said
the mayor voted against it too.
Yeah, he did.
Very good.
The reason is, he said it's not a municipal. It's
excellent.
Not.
He was staying in his lane.
Exactly. He said our laws are federally regulated for.
Yep.
He said it needs to be there. It also needs, he says, we can occasionally lobby to the provincial government, and we can occasionally lobby on behalf of Kingston and Kingston residents to the federal government. However, we have to be very picky and choosy. He said, you know what, C-71, from what we heard tonight, and Tracy spoke to this, he said, it sounds like it's going to be passed anyway. So why are we wasting, a kick at the can with something that's going to be passed? And he's
holy common sense.
I know. He was I didn't vote for him. Sorry.
But like Adriel said, municipal politicians should be concerned with, running their city and keeping the streets clean.
Asked me that. They said, as a federal employee, somebody who works with it, because that's part of what I spoke about, as a federal employee who is concerned about safety in our communities, etc., are you somebody who wants us to advocate on your behalf with C-71? I said, no. I said, I'm not concerned about you picking up my garbage and the amount of taxes I'm paying. So you know what? I'll keep the city safe. You take care of my taxes. They didn't really like that, by the way.
Well, that's too darn bad because you're just speaking the truth.
Yeah. I said, I'm not
stay in your lane.
I'm not really concerned about it. However, I did have a talk with my counselor after the meeting, and he's one of the ones that was supporting it. And I said, listen, you came to the door, and in your campaign, and we asked you, okay, Montreal is asking for C-71 handgun ban. And he goes, yeah. He said, I don't really think that's a municipal, thing that we should be doing. That needs to stay with the federal government because that's where the laws are made. And I said, and we voted for you. I said, apparently you lied. I said, you're not getting our votes again. Anyways.
Well done.
Yeah, I was not happy. I also followed up with another email afterwards. So, what else did I do? Oh, I've had 2 coworkers today, let alone this week. I had somebody yesterday. 2 coworkers today ask about going shooting this weekend, so I'm going to be taking them out. I've been working on maple seed stuff, a lot of it. Adriel, I sent something to Adriel last night at what, 12:30?
Way too late. Way too late.
He's going, are you in bed? No, I don't sleep. This weekend is CFP Kingston, so we're going to go and do a shoot there. What else? CCFR, Ladies' Days. We have so many happening across the country. We have more that are being booked right now than all of last year in the first couple of months of this year. So I wanted to say thank you to all the field officers for arranging those. But if you or your club across the country are interested in hosting and a Ladies' Day event and having the CCFR sponsor it or help sponsor it, then contact me. You can do that at kelly.wheaton@firearmrights.ca. So come and send me an email because we'd like to introduce more ladies into the sport. Okay. That's all I did with guns. Wasn't a lot.
Neat.
Just represented, Kingston and told them where they can take their C-71 bill.
Doing all the boring political and activism work that the rest of us need to do.
Yeah, that is something you need to show up because that vote was very, very close. I do know that they had their minds kind of made up prior to going in, and a couple of them changed their votes because of what their constituents want. You have to be heard. You have to go. You have to email. Just that's plain and simple. One guy was an ER nurse. He said, if I hadn't heard from my constituents, I would have voted in support of this. He said, but I'm voting according to what my constituents want because that's who elected me. I'm representing them. I'm not representing myself. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. That's the kind of common sense I want to hear from politicians at any level.
Yeah. And he's not the type of guy, like I went over to him afterwards and shook his hand and said, thank you very much. He's long haired. He's wearing flip-flops. He's, a nurse. He's not the type of typical guy that would support gun ownership. But I went over and I said, thank you. Because it's important. He represented his constituents, people that showed up who emailed. He listened to them. People need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't we talk about upcoming events? Do you want to cover the Meaford Steel Challenge there, Adriel? Because I just been talking a lot and need a drink.
The Meaford Steel Challenge is open for registration. Match starts September 7th at 8 a.m. The match ends the next day at 6 p.m. There's a site-in on September 6th. Location for this will be at the 4th Canadian Division Training Center just outside Meaford, Ontario, Canada. If you want to find that one, search on Facebook for MLRSC. That's Meaford Steel Challenge.
Awesome. Ronnie DeGroot, you want to talk about that, Trevor? You're arranging that, so you know more of that.
Yep, the fourth annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge will take place at the Rescuers Gun Club on Saturday, June 1st. Check-in is at 10 a.m., reasonable hour, because I'll assume that you're going to be like me, drinking the night before. Everything is done through Practice Score, registration and payment through Practice Score. The links to register are all over Facebook. There's an event for this, an event page for the fourth annual Ronnie DeGroot Memorial Steel Challenge. It's also on the Rescuers Gun Club Facebook page. Cost is $25. You should bring 400 rounds of ammunition because it's steel. The minimum round count's 200, and you miss, obviously. So bring double. We use USPSA Steel Challenge rules and stages, so you can actually go to YouTube and look up USPSA Steel Challenge and look up how to shoot them. There's tips and tricks on how to shoot Smoke and Hope, Roundabout, Accelerator, 5 to Go, Outer Limits. They're all on there. Those are the Steel Challenge stages that we use. A lot of fun. You can shoot 9mm handgun and up. You can shoot 22 pistol. You can shoot 22 rifle. You can also shoot a pistol caliber carbine. The divisions being offered are there on Practice Score as well. So, yeah. I hope to see you all there. But remember, you must register and pay through PractiScore. No walk-ons.
Yes. No walk-ons. So if I'm there, never mind. I wanted to talk about Maple Seed. Maple Seed is heading out to the East Coast. Trevor, I'll be seeing you first. We're driving straight out. We're driving straight out to Restigouche. So we're heading out east, and we're going to be heading out and having an event at Restigouche on May 31st. There's still spots available. Breadalbane, PEI, so just outside of Charlottetown on June 2nd. There's still spots available, as well as Sunbury, which is just outside of Fredericton, June 6th. There's still spots available for those as well. This is the East Coast tour. Everything else has been sold out in the East Coast tour. We'll be covering West Coast or Western Canada when maybe next week. I just wanted to put it out there for people to go, and if you're on the East Coast at all and you want to attend an event this year, those are the ones that still have spots left. You need to actually sign up for it and then come out and see us. You can go to our either our Facebook page, so Project Maple Seed, sign up there on the events section, or you can go to mapleseedrifleman.com and sign up through there on the event section as well. So when we get into the news, Adriel, you put the CBC?
I'm actually just looking for that right now. CBC had a couple of things on Snapchat, a couple of different memes that they had popped up. And I'm just looking for the one. It looks like it was deleted. It might have been like a copyright infringement. Oops. Because they had just copied straight up the image from it. I can't find it. We'll have to move on to the next one.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. What is it?
The next one I put in there. It's
I see. Yeah.
It's a link to a website called Fight Back, Rebuild the NFA. What I as much as I would love to actually read this timeline to the listeners, the episode is running long. So what I would like to do is describe it and provide the link in the show notes. So if you're driving and listening to this, or at home, whatever, if you go to the website, go to the show notes, you will find a link to this website. It's very interesting. It's entitled How We Got Here, and it is a history of the NFA's debacle, all the drama that has happened, the times, the dates, the locations, the people involved. It actually starts off with, it's called Ancient History, and it tells you when the organization was founded, who founded it, who the presidents were, and then background to current issues. And there's articles attached, extra things attached, like affidavits, all kinds of stuff. It's a really, really interesting read and an eye-opener if you're unaware of how, basically how Sheldon Clare destroyed the NFA. It's all right there in black and white and incontestable. I think that's a word. If it's not, well, I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. So, yeah, nfa.myfreesites.net, and then there's a long URL after that. So maybe, put it in the show notes. Go check it out. Mm-hmm. And you just, it's a really interesting read, and it will fill you in on a lot of things. All of it, I would say I was aware of most of it because I lived through it, because I was part of the NFA back then when the quote-unquote Rebel 5 started and the Sean Bevins came into power and then got fired. And anyway, all in all, it's always been about getting rid of Sheldon, and Sheldon has made it so you can't get rid of him. And that's why the NFA is falling apart and has been falling apart forever, and will continue to fall apart until Sheldon is either steps down or fired or whatever. But
yeah,
so we'll post that in the show notes. Adriel, you want to talk about this? You developed this, and I'm sure that we'll put this in the show notes as well, but maybe we'll post it on the Facebook page too.
I'm posting it to Facebook right now.
No. Awesome.
And this is we've done this in the past. This is a survey that will help the listeners give us feedback on how to improve the show. So if you check out our Facebook page right now, we've got that listener feedback survey there. We'd really appreciate if you guys can give us some constructive feedback on how to improve the show and make things better.
Yes.
Constructive, honest, heartfelt feedback.
Constructive.
Even if it's not constructive, it'll be funny. So what the hell?
True.
Just
True fact. Yeah.
And remember, everything's a contest.
How can you make that a contest?
We made it a contest. That was
Made it
like,
a
that's one of the questions in there. It is a contest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how.
Okay.
Just like all those popularity contests you won back in high school, Kelly.
Oh, I know. Trevor,
They had those back then.
I love you too.
The angrier she is, the more she loves me. She only tells me she loves me when she wants to kill me. It's like your parents using your middle name.
There is a direct correlation between me saying "love you to death" and actually
death. Actually wanting you dead. Where's my counter?
All right, you got
exactly.
I'm going to rip
You got stuff. Yes, please.
The WK180C, the bolt carriers. People are starting to get their refurbed new bolt carriers back, and they're fixed. So there's that issue looks to be resolved. The GSG MP40. Okay, we had a GSG MP40 in 22 in Canada. The 9mm got its FRT approved, so now they're coming to Canada in restricted and non-restricted lengths. So if you really like the look of an MP40, you can buy one, and it won't be a gajillion dollars or prohib.
Or 22.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, proper 9mm.
So where's it coming from?
Wicked. Okay, hold on. The AK-47 Blaze is prohibited, but the MP40 and 9mm, good to go.
Good to go. It's GSG is German, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the right place for an MP40.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, this will be good. Lockhart Tactical. They've got this cool. I'm gonna do a screen share here just so that anyone who's on the YouTube stream can see. They've got a real spacey looking brake. It's a clamp-on brake for your 12 gauge, so your Typhoons and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's real spacey looking. So if you're looking for a cool looking brake,
super spacey looking. So.
Mm-hmm.
Different models that will be compatible with different guns. Like, can I clamp this on? It's clamp on, yeah, but will it work with my chokes?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, so here's something while we're talking about brakes and Typhoons and shotguns. So the first generation Typhoon that I have, the chokes screw over top the outside of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
The new Typhoons, they go on the inside, just like they're supposed to. Love it.
Yep. I think Mark was saying that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fine.
Okay. That's
Steal my thunder, give it to Mark. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, he did say that, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. If you're looking for a poster for your gun room, you know what? I should just share my screen again for this one because you got to check this one out. I think HK actually suggested this, and now they're just going with it. HK made the image, yes, and now you can buy a Gun Jesus poster that has Ian from Forgotten Weapons.
You're going to hell.
It's a sweet looking poster, and I think like this is like some design company. So look, it's like that's your gun room, right?
Chair and a plant.
Yeah, it's like
and then somebody holding it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's gonna look like in your house.
It'll
probably be in your gun room. Yeah. And then what have we got last year? Tenda's, it just ended actually a few hours ago here. They had a huge sale on stuff. They had 147 grain aluminum 9mm for $219 per thousand. $219.
Yeah, but it's past tense, so let's just
They also had Savage 11 Scout rifles in 308 for $519.
Are we living in the past? Why are we talking about this?
There was a 10% coupon off one too. Oh,
did you buy it?
No, I didn't.
Well then, totally useless.
Yeah. Totally.
Why don't we get into the main topic?
All right, let's jump into our main topic. Joining us this week, we have Barrett Jones. Barrett, welcome to Slamfire Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for reaching out to me. And what you've actually done is you've allowed me to multitask, you see. You asked me some questions through email, and rather than take the time and be professional and answer your questions through email, I thought, if this dude comes on the show, then I don't have to answer him in the email, and we'll have a main topic, multitasking.
And anyone who asks the same questions, just be like, go watch the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all in the public record now. It's in the domain. So you're providing a public service, Barrett, sorry, whether you knew it or not. Could we talk a minute about how awesome your name is?
Yes.
Okay. So did you change your name legally to Barrett, or is it just a happy coincidence?
It is a happy coincidence. I have a very boring last name, so my parents picked something a little exciting. It turns out that Barrett Firearms started in about the same year.
No way.
And my brother's name happens to be Coulter, so my dad likes to retroactively tease my mother that it's Colt 45 and Barrett at 82.
Excellent. Is your dad a gunny?
A little bit.
Okay, cool. So how many Barretts do you own?
0.
Oh, it'd be a lot cooler if you did own one.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Thank you, Adriel. All right. Well, Barrett, why are we here? What do we want to talk about?
So I'm in the midst of my first sort of co-match director experience coming up at the end of June. And I'm also sort of involved with a match that we're doing this weekend. And I sent you a whole list of questions asking about planning for a level 3 and the huge thing. Well, I sent you a short list, but
okay. Well, we can go through those.
Come on the show.
Yeah, perfect. I don't think I looked at those questions.
Judging by the 2-minute reply, probably not.
No. Okay, good. All right. As long as we're on the same page. But I'll be happy to address them and answer them here. So
I got them written down for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, why don't we begin then? What would you like to know?
So I would say it's probably safe to say that SummerSlam is probably the biggest match outside of Nationals as far as IPSC goes in this country.
Popular, yes. Biggest, probably actually not. Okay. The match is big with regards to its round count, its stage count, but what we don't have is a tremendous amount of shooters participating. We're restricted to 2 days typically. I may look at expanding it and doing scheduling. Practice Score is making my life easier. So it's certainly popular, sells out right away. But as far as flooding the range with 300 competitors, no, I'm not doing that yet. I wanted to see this year if I had the potential to do that. So what I did with Practice Score was I actually opened it up to 200 slots. And those 200 slots filled up overnight. And it's good and it's bad. They fill up overnight. And I open up registration very, very early. The match is done in August. I open registration up like the first week I get back to work in September, and it sells out pretty quick. And I do that for one reason. One reason I do that is because school year gets going. I get busy with other things. I want to check that off the list. I know it's going to sell out. Why don't we sell it out right away? The downside to opening registration up that early is that it sells out, and a lot of slots are taken by people who they don't know if they can get the time off yet. They don't know if they can get all the other things they need to attend the match, but they know they got to grab that spot. So they grab the spot, they hold the spot until they find out if their vacation's approved or life happens and they got to pull out. So a lot of people take the spots early on and then end up canceling them. So I may next one I do is going to be Nationals, and the registration process is going to be different. But when I get back to my regularly scheduled programming of SummerSlam, I think I'm going to start to open the registration up a little later in the year. And then those people that book in January for an August match probably know that they're in. The dates are pretty much always the same. We juggle around the Nationals, either before or after, depending on where the Nationals is located. So, yeah. So it's not the biggest with regards to attendance, let's say.
Right. So then, what do you do with people who pull out? What do you do for refunds?
So You create a cancellation policy and you make it part of your registration package. When we used to register on a form, the cancellation policy was written on the form. Now everything is done through PractiScore. So when you register, the cancellation policy is somewhere on PractiScore, either in the welcome email that you get or in the match description. You just let it be known ahead of time. If you're going to cancel, you need to cancel by this date to get your refund. If it's after this date, you're not going to get a refund. And I have refused to send people refunds. I'm also a human being, contrary to popular belief, and I have allowed people to attend the following year and not pay because they paid me the year before and they had a really legitimate reason for no showing, like cancer treatments or a death in the family. I think those were the only two that got a pass. But other than that, just make your cancellation policy known. And what I do too is
just before you go too far, I would say make it known and put it on a couple of different platforms, because PractiScore, the email, Facebook, everything. Like the problem with, and I don't know if this has happened to you going to a match, but you might not read everything that gets sent to you. Rick did that CRPS course out here. He sent an email. I glanced at it. There was probably about 15 minutes to 30 minutes of the stuff to read in there. I think I spent 2 reading it. And I think a lot of competitors do the same thing.
Right. And as a match director, I got to say that sounds like a you problem, right?
It is a you problem. But if you want to make it less, if you want it to reduce the number of complaints, you pump it everywhere.
Yeah. And it does, ultimately, though, like Adriel, we're trying to manage stupid. There's always going to be somebody
and lazy.
Always like we hold gun club meetings. We have a bulletin board at the gun club that we post the range closers and match dates on. We have a website that we post the range closers and match dates on, and we send multiple emails. And somebody is still going to show up during my Alex class this weekend and wonder why he can't shoot his deer rifle.
Correct.
Yes.
So
one suggestion is when you're doing it on PractiScore, when they're going to go and register, put it there so that they can, if they do read it, they make that decision before they hit the go button. Because putting it in a follow-up email, not so bueno.
No.
Well, it is okay in a follow-up email, but let them have that choice before they register.
Yeah, it's kind of like booking a hotel room. You should always know what the cancellation policy is before you start rambling off your credit card number.
Yep.
The other thing, Barrett, is when I say registration is closed, that means like registration is closed. I'm not even taking people off the wait list by this time. And that is just because we are so understaffed that I'm on the range every day for a month or two prior to the match, working and building stages and fine-tuning things. And when I get home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I'm not spending 2 more hours on the computer answering emails and processing refunds. I did that the first 2 years. I was like, this is nuts. So whatever we start with is what we start with. Now, is it ideal? No, but it's how I can manage what I have to work with right now. If you have a large enough match committee, then you can assign somebody whose only purpose in life is to handle registrations. They answer the emails, they process the funding, they do the squatting, but not everybody has a committee that large. But that's
what I've been doing. My partner's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and I'm doing all the communication and
all the match admin. Yeah. The previous match director, he put all the match admin on the former club president, who was also the range master for the match. He was a computer guy. The previous match director wasn't. So the previous match director, he took care of designing the stages, building the stages, and getting sponsorship. The other guy did everything, including the squatting, and they didn't know each other's jobs. They both got, one guy has gone to Alberta, the other guy stepped back, and so the match admin and lead construction has fallen to me. So, but we've got some new people in the club who are really capable, really enthusiastic, are stepping up more and more. Now I have trust issues, but I actually trust some of these people to perhaps take over some of this stuff in the near future. Well, no question. Nationals, obviously I'm not doing it all myself. So I will be, when you go through an IPSC RO program, especially the CRO program, they talk about match management in there and how many weeks it takes to plan and deliver a large match. And one of the first meetings, one of the agenda items is set your committees. So who's going to be responsible for the banquet? Who's going to be responsible for registration? Who's going to be responsible for sponsorship? You look at all the things that are required to put on a level 3 or higher competition, and each one of those elements of the match gets a committee and gets a committee chair. So Adriel's in charge of sponsorship. If the prize table at the match sucks, well, we lynch Adriel, because that was Adriel's
one
job.
Throat to choke. You need someone whose name is on the thing, so that when something's going wrong, you could say, "That's your thing to do. You agreed to do it. Do it."
Yeah, and then stay in your lane. Don't be trying to get over into somebody else's work. If you wanted that job, you should have taken it. You can have it next year. But for now, get out there, pound the pavement, get me some prizes for the prize table, or answer the emails.
Barrett.
Yes.
How big is your match?
The one this weekend is pushing 200 people.
Okay.
And the one in June is 120 each day for 2 days.
Did you say what kind of match it was?
Yeah, both are IPSC.
Oh,
level
okay.
3.
Yeah, this weekend, yes.
Okay.
Cool.
So how many people do you have involved, Trevor?
Like 5, 6.
Wow. And can you give me an idea? Like I've talked to some of the people here who were at the last nationals at Restigouche.
Yeah.
And they described it as beyond rural.
Yeah, sure it is.
Now
Yeah.
I've looked on the old Google Maps.
Yep.
And there's just sort of a pinpoint where it says there's a range there.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust it.
Yeah.
But then when you talk to people who were at the nationals and they're like, yeah, it was a 4-hour drive or a 6-hour drive from the airport. I'm curious, how big is your range? How many bays do you have? What does it look like for people to come from Vancouver to that match?
So the range is awesome. It's huge. It's almost 11 acres.
It's set up as an IPSC range too. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just a bunch of long range bays or shotgun bays. There is along one side of it just gobs of IPSC bays, small little bays that you can use for quick little stages. So you can fit a ton of stages in that range.
Yeah. For the nationals, I'm looking at 20 plus stages for the match. No, and it'll be no problem once I incorporate the rifle ranges. So the facility is not the problem. The location, being in the asshole of the world, is the challenge. The nearest airport is an hour away, but it's a small, rural airport. There's 2 flights a day in and out of Montreal on Dash 8s.
You fly into Moncton and just drive up.
That's it. You fly into Moncton, but then now we're talking about, he said, between 6 and 4 hours. So if you do Halifax, it's a 6-hour drive.
One? Yeah.
If you do Moncton, it's a 4-hour drive. So some people will be coming from across the country, flying into Moncton, renting a car, driving to Restigouche, shooting SummerSlam, and leaving Monday morning for the Nationals in Quebec. We did that in 2017 when the Nationals were in Halifax. No, sorry, 2016. 16 or 17, I can't remember. Anyway, it was 16 because 17 was Calgary and 18 was Winnipeg. So people flew in, rented their car, came to Restigouche, then went to Halifax, and then flew home out of Halifax. That's where that 6-hour drive comes in. So the we're in northern New Brunswick. It is rural. The population is spread out. The range itself is, once you leave the pavement, you're driving on a dirt road for 4 kilometers into the bush before you get to where the range is.
That's what a lot of ranges are. Like a lot of the best ranges are out in the middle of nowhere, though.
Sure, but they're a lot closer to a major center.
How many major centers are there in New Brunswick? And what do you consider a major center? Like Moncton?
I mean, Calgary. I mean, Edmonton.
Such a city does not exist in New Brunswick, so
no, exactly.
We're not going to get it. Yeah.
No, when I said major center, I was not including the province of New Brunswick.
The biggest major center is Halifax.
That being said, Woodstock has just recently had their range renovated.
Yes,
if you renovate a range, I don't know. They, with very little work, could host the Nationals. They just don't know it yet, and they are handy to Fredericton. So you would be you would want to now. Woodstock is the closest community, and they'd be starving for hotels. There's one quasi decent hotel, but Woodstock would have a population probably of less than
Five?
no. It's going to be in the neighborhood of 10,000 to 12,000
Really?
people in the greater Woodstock area. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And there's just not a lot of hotels. So if Woodstock was to ever host the Nationals, realistically, people would be driving from Fredericton to the Woodstock range every day, and that would be an hour each way. But you know what? I did that when I went to the Calgary Nationals. I drove an hour every day to get to the range. Wasn't the end of the world, except for that speeding ticket. Road pirates taking my money with cameras. What's that about? You want my money? Look me in the eye. Write me a ticket. Be a man.
So, Barrett, for your match, how far do people have to drive?
Yeah. Where are you?
So we are in Pitt Meadows, which is a suburb of Vancouver. It's probably an hour given good traffic from YVR.
Okay.
Just from the Vancouver area, though, we filled those 120 slots for the level 2 qualifier in under 3 days.
120 people for a level 2. It's amazing. Yeah. What else?
So
Sorry.
how many do you get for level 2?
Oh,
I've heard you say before that you struggle with local shoots.
a couple of years ago, I built a 12-stage genuine level 2 match for 4 people.
Wow.
Yeah. Really took the wind out of my sails. I've not quite recovered from that one. The last 2 matches,
Alberta, Trevor, and put those on out here.
The last 2 matches have had 30 plus competitors here in New Brunswick. In Nova Scotia, they will do between 50 and 70 at a level 2. Indoor matches all winter were so popular, they were always over 70 people and required multiple start times in order to pull off. So we just, we don't have the population, right? We have literally one of the best IPSC ranges in the entire country, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And we have a socioeconomic crisis out here where there's no middle class left, almost. You either work at the Tim Hortons or you own the Tim Hortons. There's not much in between. So we're struggling for people to participate in our sport for sure in this area.
Right.
Retention across the whole is a nightmare in the province of New Brunswick. We've had a number of black badges, and by the time we're done, we will have had 5 or 6 this spring. And how many of those people are we going to keep? Maybe 2 or 3 from each class.
Yeah.
So
Retention's always sort of been a problem for us too, I think. But we're in the position where we're flush with people. There are so many people nearby who want to shoot, and what IPSC BC does is they allot level 2 weekends all over the province, and a lot of people just don't drive. They don't go to Fort St. John, which was a 14-hour drive or something. So you get everybody from up north, but then there's no qualifier down here. So now we're moving more and more to club matches and just sort of informal, throw it together and do it because there's lots of people.
Right. Well, why can't that club match be a level 2? All you need is 6 stages. Why is everybody hankering for these quote unquote qualifiers? What are you qualifying for? A spot on the provincial team? A made up number next to your name?
That's why we're going to the club matches, just level 1s, because
Alberta has a lot of qualifiers. I think we have like 3 qualifiers a month.
Well, what are you guys qualifying for?
I don't know.
Exactly.
You're not arguing with me. I don't.
No, I know. It's just, yeah. I hear all these qualifying matches all the time. I keep wondering what people are qualifying for. The only thing you need to, there's nothing to qualify for. You can go to the Nationals if you register in time. It's just a question of whether or not you're wearing a jersey and representing your province.
Yeah, it's only for team points in your classification.
Your classification, which is completely useless and means nothing in Canada because we're not using a standard classification system. So you're a B shooter in BC, that may make you an A in Quebec, or it might make you a C in Alberta.
Yep.
Until we all adopt a universal classification system for the country, to classifications, they mean nothing.
What does New Brunswick do for classifications?
We don't. Screw classifications. They mean nothing.
All right.
You want to get on a team. It used to be based solely on your performance at the provincials, but now we've got a system in place where you're required to shoot X number of level 2 matches, a level 3, the provincial, and your percentage based on how you finished will be sent to NASA, and they'll do some calculations and come back and tell us who's on our team.
Right.
So there's no such thing as a classifier match or a classification match. If you want to be on the team, you will shoot this many matches. One of them has to be the provincial, one of them has to be a level 3, yada, yada, yada. And then based on your performance at those matches, we'll pick our teams. At the end of the day, because New Brunswick is so small, we'll pick teams based on, hey, who can afford to go to the provincials and wants to?
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
True story. But what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to have some guy get bumped off of a team. He tried his darndest all season. He shot production all season. He put in his time. He got better all season. But he wasn't going to win the match, but he was going to be in the top 5 at the provincial, let's say. And then Mo puts down his open gun, shows up with his production gun, and screws this guy.
Right.
So it wasn't logical or fair to base your provincial team slots on one match only. Because let's face it, Mo Hepworth cannot shoot a match all year, show up to provincials, and pretty much take whatever division he wants. So we had to balance it.
Yeah. What other questions did you have about running a major match there?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you start as soon as the you start planning next year as soon as the current
Correct.
year is
Yep.
done, right? You
Yep.
hand out the trophies and you should get started on next year.
Yep.
Well, we could talk about like what you'd want to plan early. You'd want to make sure that you've got the date booked with your range. That needs to happen early. You'd want to make sure that you start getting sponsors, because sponsors generally like plan their year out pretty early on in the year.
Yep,
So you can't
January.
Yeah, you can't be asking in May or June for a sponsorship when January is really the right time to ask for it. What else would you want to do ahead of time, guys?
Start your committees. Make sure everybody, and then have backup to those committees. Like instead of just one person doing it, have 2 people working on it. Start working on even volunteers. So if you're going to be having a 2 or 3 day, you're going to need volunteers. So.
Mhm.
Well, you get organized. You have a list of the things that need to happen in order to pull off a big match, and you make a spreadsheet, and you have your first meeting, and then you assign the committees to those responsibilities.
That's a good point. Yeah, so a spreadsheet with the work duties, and then you assign at the meeting, put someone's name next to the thing so that you've got the throat to choke.
Yeah.
I'm not reiterating because you guys need to know this. I'm just saying it for listeners, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
We used to hold these meetings when I first started, and then it got to the point where you get to the meeting and I'd go down the list and say, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that. Like in the first couple of weeks after SummerSlam, Barrett, like I call and make sure that I've got plaques I need for my awards. I do that a year in advance. I book my porta potties a year in advance. I call the hotel and put a block of rooms aside a year in advance. You don't know how many hobo trailer trash people were pissed off at me that they couldn't get that hotel for their wedding because I booked it a year in advance, right? Like, I did you a favor. Your marriage is going to fall apart in 6 months. You're welcome. So, and when there's only one good hotel in town, you best book it a year in advance, right?
Yeah.
So they know me by name now when I call up. Oh, it's the IPSC guy again. All right, how many rooms this time? Here's your price, right?
Cool.
Same thing with catering. If you're going to be having something on this in the summer, people are getting married. You want somebody to cater it. You're going to need to book them a year in advance because
Kelly
Bridezilla will be all over you.
I almost had one of them there anxiety panic machines a couple of weeks ago. I called Chris freaking out. I didn't think I booked the caterer for SummerSlam for the banquet. And he's like,
you did. I already know you did. We talked about it.
Chris is like, you didn't book him. I booked him. I was like, oh, thank God.
Oh.
I'm not talking range food. Range food is, yeah. Although I did forget to book my Smoke in the Water guy for the Steel Challenge, but luckily he was available. So
nice. He's good. I would have actually had to hurt you about that.
And I would have let you. Yeah. So what else, Barrett?
Well, this year for our range food, we booked a food truck that just comes to every single match that we host.
Oh, beautiful!
You're smart.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah,
they're awesome. They just camp up there overnight and cook, and some of the garbage food we used to have was just not edible.
And we used to like struggle to get club volunteers to do it. Like they'd have to get money from the club, go to the grocery store, buy the food, take it home, take it to the range, cook it. Then there's leftovers of this, that, and what? We make $30 on a barbecue. I ain't got time for that noise. I don't want your $30. I don't want to bother my volunteers cooking, and I don't want to bother trying to find volunteers. Call up a food truck, and if people get poisoning, that's their problem. Like it's not your problem. No,
let a pro do it and just.
Yeah, exactly.
How about PCC and stuff? I see you shooting indoors during the winter.
Yep.
Are you incorporating PCC into your matches?
Absolutely. If so, PCC is a discipline, not a division, but in Canada, you were allowed to, maybe other regions as well, but in Canada, what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to run a PCC match simultaneously to your pistol match using the same stages. Okay. Yep. And then you score everybody the same in practice score, but it's actually a separate match on paper, technically behind the scenes where no one can see or care. It's a separate match. But for simplicity's sake, you score it on the same tablet in the same match and you post it on the internet where the overall counts for everything. We all know that if you're not winning overall, then you might as well quit the sport, right? So overall is not actually a thing, and it doesn't count. And those of you that are looking at it need to give your head to shake. If a PCC guy doesn't start with his hands on the wall and you're shooting a revolver or a production gun and you're concerned, you need to get over yourself because he's not even in the same match as you. So don't go to the match director and say, well, how come the PCC guys got to shoot it this way?
Are there a lot of people shooting PCC? I tried opening a division in our 3-gun matches for PCC. I had like no interest.
There's a handful it hasn't caught on yet, but now as far as SummerSlam goes, Barrett, what I have to do, if I want level 3 sanctioning approval for PCC, I will need to resubmit my stages with updated start positions and firearm ready conditions to meet the PCC rulebook requirements and get a whole different sanctioning at the match. I would literally put up the pistol stage description next to the PCC stage description. And if I wanted to get incredibly technical, I would actually run a separate tablet for the PCC shooters because it's a level 3. I don't have enough guys registered. If I had 10 guys registered, I would be all over doing that because there's a President's Medal on the line. And who wouldn't want to be the first PCC President's Medal winner in Canada? As far as I know, I won the first level 3 match with a PCC, but there wasn't 10 guys, so there's no medal, so whatever. It doesn't count. If I had 10 guys registered in PCC, I'd be all over doing everything by the book so that guy could get the first President's Medal. The Nationals say they're not offering PCC because the Quebec CFO won't allow it in IPSC. That's funny. Seems to me the reason why they're going to Valcartier is because the CFO doesn't have any jurisdiction there because it's a military base.
Yep.
How does the CFO have an opinion about IPSC matches anyway?
Because it's Quebecistan, and he tells them what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
So you can't move forward or backwards in Quebec, right? You knew that.
If you're running PCC, you could run out in the bush.
Yeah, well, assuming you have a non-restricted PCC.
Yeah.
The best PCCs are ARs and are restricted. So anyway, Adriel, it is what it is. They said no PCC, but the reason they gave was CFO. But the CFO doesn't have any authority at the Valcartier base, and that's why the match is there. So no PCC at Nationals this year. I imagine it will be offered in Ontario and next year, and it will certainly be offered at every match that I'm a match director at. So not revolver though. I don't offer revolver anymore, or production optics light. That's dumb. So
it is.
Yeah.
So at what point do you think everything's sort of put to bed, that you're golden?
After my squads are set, my range buckets are assembled, And after the pre-match, because if we run into any hiccups during the pre-match, we fix them. So we do our pre-match on Wednesday, Thursday, and then we reset the range and put up fresh targets on Friday. So we're ready to roll Saturday morning. So I feel absolutely confident that everything's going to be fine at the end of my pre-match. Another big milestone is when my squatting is done. And then, I mean, SummerSlam now is pretty much plug and play, right? We've got our own set of everything: radios, timers, staplers. So we just set up squad buckets. It's kind of, if you didn't have to self RO, it's a mini nationals with
Right.
as far as the logistics goes and the administration.
Right. So then you do all the squatting. It's not all just self-squatted on practice score or something.
Yeah, the reason why I have to manage the squatting myself is because we self RO.
Right.
We don't have a dedicated CRO per stage who welcomes you, gives you a walkthrough, demonstrates the start position, and then has a team of ROs and ROers and patchers to run it for you. We have a dedicated CRO per squad and travels with the squad.
Tell you what
runs
you
the
need to do,
squads.
Trevor. You need to put a reserved spot in each squad, and then still let people put themselves in whatever squad they want to, and then it'll always leave that one spot available so you can
That's not
dump
the
your
problem.
CRO.
No, because the CRO doesn't RO. The reason why I have to do the squatting myself is because I have to make sure that I have at least 3 ROs and a CRO per squad.
Per squad.
So then leave 4 spots reserved by you.
And then so I assign a CRO and 3 ROs and then to a squad and let people just jump in wherever they want.
Mhm.
Those 4 people per squad are going to get pissed off about something. So luckily, I've been lucky so far where it's like, 5 or 6 guys, can you squad us together? Can you squad us together? And this is the first year I'm not getting inundated with squatting requests. Normally I do, because we used to do everything through email. You'd download the form, you'd fill it out, you'd scan it, email it back. And then it was always like I'd get seven registration sheets in one PDF form saying, put us 7 together. And then I'd look and go, all right, these guys aren't douchebags. I don't have to worry about them cheating. And of the 7, 4 of them are ROs, no problem. So.
Yeah, I've run into that problem where there's a squad of, there's about 12 people that want to shoot with one guy. And
Yep.
there's one RO among them all. And
Yep.
you're like, great, what do I can't do anything with this.
The Quebec shooters are like that. They're notorious for, they all want to shoot with this one dude. And this one dude is not asked to shoot with anybody. He doesn't care. They all want to shoot with him.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
they overlap sometimes, like this guy and this guy want to be in this squad, and this guy want to be in that squad, but then they want to be in each other's squad. And, oh, man. So
Yeah.
I need to go to a format, and it's not a popular format, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. Work a half a day, shoot a half a day.
See, that's what we do out here in BC.
Yeah, like it or lump it. That's how it is, right?
And the way that it typically works is if you're the host range, your CROs will work in the morning on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And that way everybody kind of knows what they're doing, and they go and
Yep.
set up and they put the last touches on hang targets and stuff. It rains a lot here, so we don't hang targets the day before. We hang them in the morning. And then on the second day, we swap the schedule. So you shoot one morning, one afternoon, 99% of the time.
Right.
Is that more efficient than the idea of just having the squads going through? Like, I like the idea of just having my belt on or off.
Efficiency, it's what it is. So it gives 2 things, Adriel. You get consistency in the application of the rules because you have dedicated staff.
Mm-hmm.
You also just shoot. You either just work or you just shoot. The way we do it now is, everybody has to chip in, and there's always that one lazy Karn that doesn't want to get off his stool to go patch.
There's a couple guys who always seem to end up patching those 2 closest targets and nothing else.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what we do, and it works well. I'm not sure if it's the best system, but it works pretty well. And then
It works
especially
pretty
when you have-
well if you want to have dedicated staff, and when I'm shooting, I'm just shooting. When I'm working, I'm just working.
Yeah.
Some people hate the idea of working before they shoot. Whatever.
Well, then at our provincials, we have a little bit different format. Normally, it's usually a 3-day match,
Hmm.
and you work one full day, and then you shoot 2 half days. So you're there, you
that's
work,
a
you're
miniature
done.
nationals.
Yeah.
That's exactly how the nationals goes, and so I would have to switch SummerSlam to that. That's the format for SummerSlam going forward. Work one full day, shoot 2 half days. That's the way to do it. I've never been taught how to schedule that way. I don't have any experience scheduling that way, and I'm having a hard time to connect with people who can teach me how to do it. But after nationals, I will have learned how to schedule, right? I will go through the process with those in the know. They will teach me this, and SummerSlam from now on will be like, that's how it'll be.
Yeah. Well, what we did at this last year's one, because I was sort of peripherally involved, was after your workday, you got a bit of a sleep in, you shot in the afternoon,
Hmm.
and then you had to come back and shoot in the morning.
Yeah, you got to alternate.
Those days you got.
When I was in archery, you shot one morning, you shot one afternoon. You never shot 2 afternoons, you never shot 2 mornings. You always got a bit of a taste of each, right? So,
Right.
Spring Bang is an indoor 2-day match in Halifax, and I think they went 3 days this year. They did a Friday night squad, then a Saturday and a Sunday, and we shot on Saturday, and I started off working first thing in the morning, so I had to work. And then when that group of squads were done, I think there was 3 squads we worked. The last squad that shot, that I worked, then became the work team, and we shot. And the first time I had done that, and he had no choice. It was the only way the match director could get through as many people as he needed to, and I thought it worked fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else, Barrett?
Sorry. So do you have a template for a match for like when things are accomplished? Like these things I do a year out, these things 3 months, 6 months.
Yep.
Is that just experience, or is there something that you've based that off of?
Yep. When I took over as match director, the person who was doing the administration before had that activity. What's the name of the document? He's got a special name for it here. Activity report. And basically it was from all the planning meetings for the nationals.
Right.
And he gave that to me, and I just started using it. Now I don't even look at it. But in the beginning, I used to look at it. And like I said, we used to meet last year. I don't think we even met. We just, rather than get everybody in the same room at the same time where they can tell jokes and be distracting, I just call people individually and say, all right, this is what you're doing. This is what I need you to do, and stuff like that.
If you're somewhat tech savvy, or your volunteers are somewhat tech savvy as well, something like a shared Google Sheet is really handy, because then multiple people can see the list, see what they're responsible for, check their name off, or update statuses, and you don't have to have those face-to-face meetings that are archaic and not super necessary.
Yeah.
Right. I would say that would be just me organizing that. A lot of people willing to help, but a lot of the computer stuff has fallen to me because everybody else is just like, no, I'm just going to call and get it done, versus updating a spreadsheet.
Cool.
Yep.
Any last questions for us?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Oh.
Okay.
Giddy up.
So when's your matches again?
I'm doing one this weekend, and then June 29, 30 is my first actual co-match director position.
All sold out.
All sold out. So I
Good
posted it on March 18th, and that was the Monday, and it was done by Thursday. I think I locked it down.
I think one of the cool things I've picked up is by going to other people's matches and seeing what I really like. There's been a couple things where it's like, oh man, that was awesome. I need that. Like, that's such a nice little creature comfort, or a nice little touch that didn't take that much time, or something that I saw like lacking in our matches, where it was really useful seeing how other people do it.
Yeah, that's how we ended up with the food truck. Is one guy booked it for like a little redneck club match thing, and the other sort of nearest rangers to us booked them. We booked them for every event that we host this year, and it was just like they're happy to come, we're happy to have them. Just pay them the money and have decent food.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Well, Barrett, thanks, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
It was our pleasure. Talking about match administration reminds me of all the things I have yet to do.
I ordered trophies this morning.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Is everything spelled right? Just make sure.
They're going off a template from a past one, and I sent them photos of the wall here. And
yeah.
Still check after you get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Ask us how we know.
How do you know, Trevor?
Well, when your trophy lady has her son do them, podcast turns into Podcart.
Who was it? Oh, that's where Podcart came from.
That's where Podcart came from.
And
we gave out about half the
teacher.
What's that?
Who was this guy's teacher?
Not me. He's in the French school. So what do you want, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was a language issue. That's why.
That's what it was. It was a language issue. Yeah. Goodness. But yeah, I do need to check and make sure I have enough of those New Brunswick plaques cut out. I better add that to my list. Very good. All right. Well, thanks, Barrett. We will catch you next time, and keep us posted and let us know how things go.
Will do. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks once again to Barrett. I love his name.
I know.
He is kind of cute. So he's doing the Bradley Cooper thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Listener feedback. Who's been paying attention to? Apparently, Trevor, you have, because this is brought to you by the letter H tonight.
That was the only time. That and yeah. No. What's this? At Trevor Ginger here from the Thompson Corner match this past weekend. Not only was it my first match, that was only my fourth time on the range since getting my restricted.
You're in trouble, holy! If that's his fourth time at the range,
gonna have to disqualify him from the IPSC program, because clearly, when you register for a black badge, the prerequisites require you to have more time on the range than that. So, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to try again next year.
Oh, good Lord! Filthy says, Trevor, the dot on my optic is 2 MOA, not 6. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I think mine must be 2. They're tiny.
Okay. What else?
Paper Racer talking about Ginger was just ahead of me in the match. I must have found a new nemesis for my class. Yeah, we'll put. So I guess that's it, right? We got a new Ginger. All right. So James needs a new nickname. Well, Ginger is still Ginger Snaps. This guy's not even that much of a ginger. I just looked quickly out of the corner of my eye and thought he was a ginger. But I just his hair is pretty dark, but his beard's pretty gingery.
It's a perfect way to get a nickname for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Like Muffin, right? He's anything but a muffin. He's a cranky 6'2" Acadian who hates everything and everyone. So we call him Muffin, ironically. So
he's a nice guy, though. He is.
Timmy. Okay. I guess there's one.
Yeah. Greg May also wants to know if there's a Tim Hortons located close to Dalhousie.
There's one in Dalhousie and
I
2 in Campbellton.
He said that he needed it because of Stacy and Kelly. We need our coffee in the morning. If not, he can't live with us.
Oh my God.
He would know.
He does know.
Mm-hmm.
He
Boyd
knows.
wants $65 to ship that piece of wood across the border.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hey. Oh, never mind. We'll get to it when I give my shout outs. Listener feedback. Let's get to that. Listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check him out online. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at www.dcgunsmith.ca. You can also find him on Facebook and Instagram. I follow him, so go over there and follow him. And Trevor, you're not working there anymore, are you? Or are you still working there?
No, I haven't worked there in months. He's got a guy.
He's got a guy. Good guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was kind of working there when I was doing the. I refinished Captain Andy's carbine, and then I did the prep work for the Lee Enfield and the prep
You're
work for the
still working there.
Grand. And not really. Like I don't go in on a regular basis, but
Yeah, you're still going in. You're still doing.
yeah, still going in and torment them.
Okay. Why don't I read the one from Colin? Hey guys, what steps do you take to prevent rust when storing your guns? What types of oil do you use? And also, what are your thoughts on silicone treated gun stocks? Thank you, Colin.
I live in Alberta.
Yeah, it's not that weather.
I just ballast all them, cover them in ballast all, especially the barrels, and the bores of the barrels. And then the ballastol, when you clean it out later, it's a great at de-leading the barrel. I had no idea. I had a revolver that I had cleaned and thought was clean, and then I sprayed some oil in it and let their ballastol. And then in the spring when I went to clean it, I couldn't believe the oil that came out, or the lead that came out. But yeah, I just any, like, whatever gun oil, just cover all the parts that might rust in oil, thin coat of oil. Yeah, silicone treated gun stocks. I got nothing. You guys?
I use a safe. I've got a safe with desiccant pack in it just to like even out the rises in humidity, but nah. And oil. I like for anything like there's your shotgun outsides of the barrel. I would oil those if you got one new because they don't come oiled from the factory and those will rust.
Yeah. The other thing is make sure you take your guns out of any of your bags.
And don't leave it in a foam rifle case. It will rust. The water that'll get stuck in there and you're screwed.
Yeah.
But you take them out. However, like if you were shooting in the wintertime, when you take your cased firearm into the house, let it warm up inside the case first.
Yep.
You just open up that case and expose the firearm to the warm air in the house. It'll cause condensation on the gun.
Yeah. Bring them into the garage if you can. Let them spare for a few hours. Bring them.
Whatever. Just let them warm up in the case.
Yep.
We're used to taking, after maple seeds, we're used to making sure that everything's all nice and oiled up because it rains all the time when we have our events. All the time. Trevor, this one's for you, so why don't you read it? It's from Ryan.
Okay. Ryan says, "Hey, Trevor, just heard that you bought the CZ P10F and you love it. You mentioned that it's a big gun. So my question is, do you have any idea how it would compare to the Glock 34 with a large backstrap on it? I have very large hands and want a good gun that fits me. P.S. I hope you guys are going to TACCOM show and would love to meet up and have sandwiches and share scotch." Oh, man. Oh, mine's a 6 too. Yeah, TAPCOM. I won't be there. Kelly, you typically go to.
Okay. So TACCOM, same weekend as the Meaford Steel Challenge. I am booking off so that I can go to the Meaford Steel Challenge, but I will probably be going to TACCOM, working at the CCFR booth. Probably. I don't know. Maybe. I was just talking to Kelly about that. So
simple yes, you're going to be there would suffice. Okay.
So on the Friday, because it's the 6th, 7th, 8th. So I'll be there probably on the Friday.
There we go.
Cool. All right, Adriel, let's switch the camera over to me.
Say something.
Saying something about stuff and things. Okay. So, Ryan, you're going to have to go back and watch the video to really appreciate the full effect of what I'm going to do here. So, this is my CZ. There it comes with 3 back straps. This is the small back strap. And I'm holding it up to the gun, which currently has the large back strap installed. This is the medium back strap.
You could say it has a pleasing round shape on the rear end with that large there.
It's what you would describe as arched. So kind of similar to the back of a Glock, but really you can't compare this grip to a Glock grip. If you look from the bottom up inside the mag well, you'll see that the width of the grip is not as large as a Glock to begin with. So you're losing some width here. And with the largest backstrap on the Glock, you're larger than what the back of the CZ is. So the overall circumference of the CZ grip is smaller than the Glock. And when you put the largest backstrap on the CZ, it's still smaller than a Glock with its largest backstrap. So unfortunately, although we say this gun is big, it may not be big enough for you. So there's my hand. And I have what I would call medium-sized hands with hobbit thumbs. So this is how much of a perch I get on the gun here. For the listeners, I'm holding the gun up to the camera with my fingers wrapped around the grip and kind of showing him how much.
You've got about a finger on the bottom there of extra grip.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter. We're not talking about how long the grip is here. We're talking about the how thick, how round, how large the grip is.
If he has large hands, he's going to appreciate that gun because he's going to get a little bit more on the bottom, but it may not be as full in his hands compared to the 34.
Yep, and that's a valid point, Adriel, that I didn't consider. So you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, his hand would go farther down on the grip and not be all bunched up under the trigger guard. He may have some breathing room, but as you can see, I'm not exactly burying this thing in my hand. So anyway, I hope that helps. Short answer, even with the largest backstrap, it's smaller than a Glock 34.
Because the Glock 34's biggest backstrap it comes into the beaver tail as well. So
it has a beaver tail, built into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
If you would like to email the show, you can do so by emailing slamfireradio@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, by the way. Do it. Shout outs.
I've got one to Sean from ATRS for loaning me his rifle for the match and for the review. And then one to Rick. He sent a thank you for putting them up, and he sent me a coin. One of the founders' coins for CRPS.
Yeah, those are cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get one. I need to get one.
I didn't get one.
It's a very nice coin.
Yes.
You have a reservation for a Kelly Weiner?
Okay, Trevor, enough. Do you have a shout out? It's not written here.
Then obviously I don't, because I fill out my show notes.
Oh, well, I was just being nice. I have a shout out. It's for Spencer. And I just want to say, I know, right?
Oh,
show.
Imagine.
Trevor?
Yes?
Are they in the mail yet?
Hell no. I'm looking at they're on the wall over there.
Yeah.
Some stuff happened. I was going to mail them. Then my mom died. So excuse the hell out of me. Yeah, I went all the way there. Right at the gate.
What happened between last week when you said, oh, I should really mail those, and this week when we recorded?
Planning of stuff that was more important than mailing your guns. Going to matches, CCFR, RSO program, Black Bad stages, maybe next week.
No, don't worry about it. I'm there the week after.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God, I screwed this up so bad.
Remember when I said I'd like you to mail them so that we can do some stuff with them so that we can use them?
Yep. I was gonna too, but then my mom died, and so I just never got.
Keep covering up.
Seriously, stop.
It'll be the excuse next week too.
No, well, that was actually the only excuse I had. Some time has gone by since then, and I still haven't mailed them. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it.
Okay, not worrying about stuff is something I'm great at.
But I want a refund on my shipping.
Well, you already got like a smoking deal. I knocked money off.
Like, no.
You want me to tell people what you paid for these shipped?
I don't care.
But you're right. You were supposed to get them. The shipping was supposed to be built in, so I will give you $25 because that's probably what it would have cost me to ship them.
That's how much I paid you to ship them.
I guess done publicly negotiating on the on this purchase.
Yes.
You want to talk about how unpractical running is?
Not anymore.
All right, then end this thing, Kelly.
All right, let's finish this. We have a couple of new Patreonies. We have Darren Ostapowicz. Thank you. Darren's one of our IITs, by the way, for Project Maple Seed. He's sponsoring us for $10. Holy crap. Maple Seed's paying him way too much. He was listening today. He was watching tonight as well. And also Ryan A. He's sponsoring us for $5. Thanks very much, you guys. And please send your addresses and emails, everything. Well, if you're sending it in an email, your address in an email, send that to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Hey, Adriel, have you sent out anything recently?
Not in the last week, but
Okay.
2.5 weeks ago, I sent to everyone who had emailed in their address. So if you haven't received anything, send us your address again.
Yes. And then we can, well, it's going to be Adriel. And the reality is he's going to make his kids do it.
Mhm.
So they will send you out your stickers, your patches.
Great. They're probably going to write Podcart on the envelope.
Maybe. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, you get Podcart.
Thanks, everybody, for supporting us on Patreon. There's other ways you can support us as well. You can go onto our website and click on the tab for Cabela's. So if you're going to go shopping at Cabela's anyways, why don't you just come on over to our website, click on that tab. We get a little bit of a kickback for it, and it helps us keep putting out content.
Someone bought something this month. I checked.
Woo! Thank you. Also, please join one or more of our national firearms associations like the CCFR. They are showing up at city halls in Kingston, Ontario, and they're making a difference. So why don't you join them so that they can help support you and your shooting. Also, check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. We do have a thread there. And why don't you actually talk to us? Or why don't you talk to us, and then we will talk back to you. And also give us a like on Facebook. It's 2,127 likes. Do we know did we look at any orphanages or anything?
I mean, we talk a big talk, but ultimately we still didn't find an orphanage to target.
Or look for one.
No.
Okay.
I did find one, but yeah.
Is that the one that you came from?
Okay. So why don't we just say goodnight, everyone?
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.